This is Sean O'Hare, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
By Sean O'Hare. Sean, how you doing?
Pretty good, how are you?
Doing real well. Of course, you have April 30th, the night at the Bellagio, presented by K1. You looking forward to it?
Very much so.
What attracted you to the actual in-fighting, instead of it being the quote-unquote predetermined style of pro wrestling, what attracted you to real fighting?
I've always really fought, but mostly in bars and stuff like that.
Yeah, we've heard stories.
Yeah, and I've always been interested in it, and I was in it before. But I'm from the East Coast, Southeast,
Right.
and there's not a lot of MMA or kickboxing around there. So I would just pick up little fights here and there wherever you could get something, little smokers and stuff like that. But once I got into wrestling, it started blossoming. I saw that K1 was coming up, the UFC was getting bigger and everything like that. And I was just lucky enough to make a small name for myself in wrestling that I was able to carry over, into the fighting world where I could do that. And I've been a martial artist since I was like 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been interested in really fighting, and I tried to bring that into wrestling, that style.
Mm.
And it was the next step, it's just something that's in your blood. You can't explain why, really. Sometimes it's like, why would you train and do this and go in there and risk, embarrassment and glory and just everything with the stress, the training, and everything involved? Why would you do it? Because you love it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have to.
When I first saw you on Nitro, we all saw you're a very big guy, and then you're doing these moves that most cruiserweights can't do. And everybody was saying, this guy's so agile for such a big guy. Obviously, you told us you had a background in martial arts. Did you have any other sort of athletic background prior to your wrestling career?
Not really, no. I used to own a gym and just worked out, and I took a couple of gymnastic lessons just so I could show off, and it just happened so that I like to be able to do things that people think I couldn't do. When someone tells me I can't do something, then I go out and do it. It's sort of like I'm a small man trapped in a big man's body. Small people get that small man's complex. Don't tell me I can't do something. I'm sort of like that, but I'm big. Don't tell me I can't do something because I'm big.
Yeah. Well, you were one of the most famous power plant graduates, and eventually became a member of the Natural Born Thrillers. And for a while, in about late 2000, you guys were on about every segment of the show, and a lot of veterans backstage were saying that you guys were getting a lot of airtime. Do you think that you had gotten too much too soon?
No. I think that the business was a little. I think the business was sort of winding in a way where we came in where we had a lot of exposure, but the veterans they got lazy. And what had happened is they were sucking up a lot of money. We were getting paid nothing, but the company wanted to turn it around, but it already went a little bit south. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then of course, right when AOL picked us up, when I was going to get my big push, I was listening to next Goldberg, next Rock. WWF bought us out. Now it's WWE.
What was the plans for your character? Do you know, or did you have like a gimmick, or was it just going to be Sean O'Hare?
When we closed up.
Yeah.
Bischoff had talked to me, and we had gone through a scenario of what I was going to be. I was going to be sort of a American Yakuza type guy, an American who had grown up in Japan and was a heel but not a heel, kind of an anti-hero, but martial artist, and a very, very intense and aggressive wrestler. And he had this plan laid out, and then that's what it was.
There's a match where Paul Orndorff got hurt with a neck injury. What was going through your head when you see a guy just completely disabled in the ring?
When I was working with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an existing neck injury.
Yeah.
And it was my partner, Nigel Drax. I think some other people. I think Ray was Oscar, Rey Mysterio was in it.
Yeah.
Some other people. You know, it's, you know, when it's time to hang it up, it's time to hang it up. I love Paul, he's a good guy, but I mean, they're trying to pick guys up and stuff like that, and you already have an existing neck injury, you're just asking for a problem.
What'd you think of him being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
Oh, he deserved it. The man's great. We got along since the first second I met him. When he was in the power plant, I was a student of his.
You've had quite a few partners over the course of your when you were in wrestling. And first, obviously, was Mark Jindrak was your partner currently on the WWE. And then they switched you over with Chuck Palumbo. Between Jindrak and Palumbo, who did you enjoy teaming the most with?
You can't say one. They're different people. I enjoyed working with both of them. They both had different characters. They both had different characters, which I enjoyed working with very much. You know.
Yeah.
I liked working with them both the same. I can't choose on that one.
Yes, sure.
There was a revolving door at WCW when you came to who was in charge. What was the atmosphere, like at WCW?
I'm sorry. What was the last part of that?
I said it was like a revolving door at WCW when it came to who was in charge.
Yes.
What was the backstage atmosphere like overall in WCW?
For us, it was fine. I mean, we were one. I'd always been known to. I mean, a lot of the guys, like new guys, like got bullied around by the veterans and stuff like that. Excuse me for just a minute. Let me cut this one off, okay?
Not a problem.
Yep.
Okay. No, when the revolving door and how the atmosphere was, it wasn't bad. Some people say, "Oh, it's horrible."
Right.
You know, it was cliquey. I'll tell you that. But I was with the National One Thrillers, and nobody messed with us because we weren't just the average new guys. We were tough guys, and if you mess with us, we beat your ass.
Did everyone in the company realize WCW was on the verge of being sold?
I think it was somewhat known, but somewhat trying to be hidden. It was up in the air, like a coin toss. We didn't know what was going on. I don't think they knew what was going on. You know.
When going from what some say was a very bad backstage atmosphere in WCW, obviously you'd say it wasn't that bad. How did the WCW backstage compare to WWE's backstage area?
It was just, you know, I was there to work. When I was at WCW, it was very new. I was a little more nervous. In WWF, it was more of a atmosphere of, oh, you guys are coming in from a company we just bought, and you better show respect. And it was sort of you know, a ganging up thing, and everything split us up. Not hating on it at all, but it was different, but the same. It's just backstage. It's entertainment. I don't know how to explain it to you.
Sure.
Well, you were brought in as one of the cornerstones of the invasion angle. What are your thoughts on that angle, and do you feel that the ball has dropped at all with that angle and what it could have been or should have been?
Yeah, I really do. I just felt like that they really took a lot of talent and misrepresented it and misplaced it. I think that, you know, not saying anything for myself, but I don't look at myself as being a personal. I think it was business. You got somebody that's 6'6", 275 pounds that can stand and do a backflip standing right there in the middle of the ring, and then run and do whatever anybody can do in the business, and then you're going to have them getting beat up by people, and just because we were in a rival company, it became personal, I think, on an office level, where to me it was just, and I'm just here to work, dude, and I'm trying to do the best. That's how it felt to me.
Now, we had talked a little bit earlier about how you were so agile in the ring. When you got to the WWE, did they kind of tell you to curb your style a little bit, not do as many acrobatic moves, maybe in fear that some of their other talent would look, you know, a little bit worse if a new guy coming in from WCW had the ability to do that kind of stuff?
Why do you think I don't work there anymore?
Well, that's my personal opinion, but
That might be the greatest answer in the history of the show. I'm sorry, I love that answer.
Well, when you were brought back in 2003, they gave you kind of a bad influence character. Did you think that character would get over?
Yeah, I developed that character. I did all the writing for that and everything. It started out a little bit different than I had done some study in Michael Valley and stuff like that. I'm like, you know, why don't we turn this just a little bit? It started out as this bad Santa Claus. I'm like, if you really want to go in this direction where you have a guy who's really sinister, let's go sinister. Let's go to where people almost see so sinister that I can make them believe me.
Right.
Okay? So me and the writers got together and we did this stuff, and I thought it came out great. And it was really going. And then what happened is they didn't know where to go because they wanted me to be a bad guy, and people started liking me, so I was a good guy.
Right.
You know, let's stop it. Let's put him with Piper, and then, you know, then that was just, and I love Piper, but that's just trouble waiting to happen.
I'm kind of the resident rock fan of this group, and your theme song is pretty damn cool. Did you have any choice in the selection of that, and who actually performs that?
You know what? You like that? That's Waterproof Blonde,
and
they're very, very good friends of mine. And I was in the studio when they were doing that, when they were recording it, going through it with them. That was written especially for me.
Wow.
And sung for me, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're a great band. They're out of Louisville, Kentucky. When I was in WCW, I met them and started hanging out with them. And they're still very good friends of mine. And they actually came out with a CD after that.
Excellent, because, I mean, that's a lot of, believe it or not, I got that question a good 5 times, and I remember thinking, well, that's a really cool theme song, so that's pretty cool to hear. Eventually, you were put with Piper, as you mentioned. You said it was trouble waiting to happen, but how did you guys get along?
Oh, Piper and I got along fine. It was just, everybody's coming to me going, Piper will say things, and you got to be careful, take care. I'm like, man, you know, what do you mean to do? You paired me up with a guy who's kind of, and then once he went on, I never even saw him on HBO and started talking crap about the company.
Right.
Well, he actually made some pretty surprising remarks, kind of basically insinuating that, like, Vince McMahon was allowing wrestlers to die and really not, like, standing up for people not doing drugs and offering them insurance, health insurance, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, I was watching it when it was happening, and I couldn't believe that he was bashing the company like that badly as it was happening, you know, while he was working for him. I was like, man, this is ridiculous.
That is, and, you know, it ended up having a reflection on my career, too, because I got a phone call one morning when I was heading to a show, and everybody's like, don't be worried, you're okay. I'm like, the first thing you worry about, when it's time to worry, is when somebody tells you not to worry.
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Well, Piper on TV last night, we had to let him go. I'm like, but we had storylines set up and everything. I go, then,
Hogan left, too.
Well, you're not going to get punished. I'm like, no, when you tell me that, that's when I'm like, well, what am I going to do?
Right.
You can't exactly go back. I'm like, well, okay, here's what we'll do. And so I started writing some material, and I started writing these new groups. So we're almost like this Japanimation goth motorcycle group. I put some guys in there who at the time were in WWE, like Travis Tomko and some other guys that were in there, and was trying to get those guys up. And everybody loved it, and then they just never went with it. They I don't know, you know, everybody always asks me, why didn't this happen? Why didn't this happen? Why didn't you just, you know what? I'll say this, I gave it 100% of my attention, 100% of my ability, 100%, if not more, dedication, and something didn't happen, and I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. I'm just saying everybody asks me why, and that's the question I just can't answer.
That almost makes me depressed to hear you say that, because that sounds like a stable kind of formation that could be around as we're talking right now. There's such a lack of them and a lack of way to bring new talent up. And that, to me, just hearing you say it, sounds like, you know, a gimmick in a group that could have been significantly entertaining and added significant value to the show.
Well, you know, anybody
it's just a shame.
Sorry, yeah. Anybody can sit there and go, oh, this person could be this person could be that. I'm going to tell you right now, okay, you can take anybody, and if you push it hard enough, you can get it over. Look at Bill Goldberg. The guy, admittedly, could not wrestle very well. He was not a good worker. He had not been in the business years and years and years and stuff like that. They took a product, they saw something, and what they did is they shoved it down people's throats. And you know what? It worked. They tried something that worked, the people caught on, and they got it. And what they're doing is they're waiting for this other person to emerge when it's what's behind the person. It's not the person. I mean, I can go out there and I can say, smell what the Rock is cooking. I mean, if I went out there and said something like that, how stupid would you think? You'd be like, what an idiot. But you say it over and over and over again, and you do cool stuff before you say it, you do cool stuff after you say it, and then you have the people putting you on TV letting you say it all the time, people are going to get it. If you have me say it one time and they go, oh, that's stupid, hey, man, you know, it's a team effort, not an individual.
Right.
It's a business, you know? And that's what's different about fighting. I can go out there and I don't got to worry about anybody worrying about what the hell I say.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, I was looking at your picture, and this was something me and Eric were discussing, and obviously you've cut your hair back down to the way it kind of used to be. And I was saying that I thought there was a cooler, like, merchandise look the other way. And then I was thinking, well, this is a different animal. This is, you know, this is more what you can actually do in the ring than how you look and everything than the wrestling business.
When you were, during about the time when, right before Roddy got released, you had kind of a mini feud going on with Hulk Hogan. Did you have any thoughts with working with Hulk?
Oh, he was great. It was cool. No, I mean, it was just, you know, it was just great. Wrestling is wrestling, man.
Yeah. Well, earlier in the interview, you told us, you know, that was the reason why it was released. Can you get any more specific about that? What is the actual release reason?
No, after Roddy was let go, they had me on, like, Velocity and Heat, just smashing people, and I'm like, and me and Vince had a meeting, and I'm like, I'm not happy. You know, why am I doing this? Does it make him any better? What's going on? He's like, well, you need to work more like this. I'm like, well, obviously we're not seeing eye to eye on this. He goes, what do you want to do? I go, I want to do what I want to do. I want to go back to doing the flips. I got into wrestling because I'm like, hey, look, I have something to offer. I'm not just a big guy. I'm a big guy that can do some weird shit. Excuse me for cursing.
Not a problem. We'll get it in pre-production, post-production.
Some weird stuff. And I go, I have something to offer. You know? I'm not saying that, oh, because I want to do it, I can do it. I go, I legitimately have something I can do that's different than what other people can do. So instead of making me like everybody else, let me do what I want to do. He goes, okay. I go, all right. And it was getting close. It was like 4 months out from my contract being up. And so I went to WWE just to get my body back in shape and doing flips off the top rope. I mean, you're like 10, 15 feet in the air when you're doing that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm coming, you know, I'm just getting my timing down and stuff like that. Got a phone call. Hey, we don't want to use you anymore. I'm like, well, good. Now I can go on something else.
Do you still currently follow the WWE programming? And if you do, what are your thoughts on what they're currently putting out there?
My thoughts on that, I sometimes it's hard to watch because they need to do something like they did with The Rock. They need to do something like they need to make a hero. They need to make somebody, even if it's, I mean, they need to make something that someone wants to emulate, to be like, that they can refer to, that they can just adapt. Just acknowledge as being, this guy is cool, and you have to, it's just like a movie. You have to develop bad guys and good guys. And the good guys got to be really, really good, and the bad guys got to be really, really sinister. I'm not saying really good at it. I mean, the production, the writing has to be there. And it's not there right now, I don't think.
I think we would all tend to agree with that on some level.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, when I'm watching Batista, they're trying to do that, but he doesn't seem to grasp it completely yet.
The best job they've done in a long time, and he has the look, the attitude, and he's got the intensity. And Dave and I were good friends in WCW.
Right.
But there's too many hands in the cookie jar, if you know what I'm talking about. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians running around backstage. But
yeah.
One of the things that we discussed.
You're talking to one person who doesn't know exactly what's going on too. I'm not saying I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying those are my thoughts, in my opinion.
One of the things that we discussed is that he needs more TV time. Because since he won the belt, he's been on TV for like 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Well, Triple H has been on for, I think we calculated somewhere in the vicinity of 50 minutes of interview time since losing the title.
Well, that makes me want to watch. Doesn't it want to make you want to watch?
Not necessarily.
The other champion on the brand is a guy that you worked with in OVW, John Cena.
Yeah.
Do you like what John's become?
I think John can be put to better use. I think he's got a good following and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very smart guy, very good on the mic. I think they can push him even higher.
Mm.
I think they can change up that little, I'm a homie look. They need to go farther with it, even upgrade it some. Where he's not different, but he's just not the same too.
Mm.
I think.
Yeah. And after years in pro wrestling, well, actually, we already talked about it, I'm sorry. What are your long-term goals in the world of mixed martial arts?
I really don't think of it like that. I sort of live day to day right now, and I'm just thinking you're catching me 9 days out from a fight. You have to understand that too.
Right.
So I'm not really like, my idea is this. My goal is to beat the hell out of Gary Goodrich in the first round and go on and win the tournament. That's what my thought is. That's every second I'm speaking to you, I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Everything I'm sitting here doing toe flexes. I'm getting, I just got a massage on my calves. That's why I had to call you back because I've been working out so hard. I mean, that's my total process right now.
Mm. Is it a different?
I can't answer you on that.
Is it a different regimen than when you were a professional wrestler?
Oh yeah.
A lot tougher, I
It'd be
think.
like night and day.
You have to understand. Sometimes I'm training up 6 hours a day.
Wow.
And then it's not even 6 hours a day I'm training. It's not like I get to go home after work. Everything I eat, everything I watch, everything I sleep, when I dream about beating people up. I think about it. I work for it. If my training partner's slamming me in the head, I get mad. You're emotional. You're like, wow. I'm Irish. I can't drink right now. That's driving me crazy.
I hear that.
We are. There are 2 Irish boys on the phone with you.
How you doing, dog?
Hey, good enough to also help justify it?
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. Since you say you think about beating people up, this might be something you'll enjoy answering. Can you take Bob Sapp?
I don't know. Like I said, you're asking questions that are out of the realm of my thought process right now. Bob's a good guy. He's tough,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always confident in my ability. If I had to fight him, I would train to take him out, yes.
Mm.
Do I think I could take him out right now? I think I could take him out to dinner. I'm not going to say that I couldn't, but right now I'm training to fight a different style. I'm a different way of thinking. And it depends if I fought him MMA or kickboxing too.
Did you happen to catch any of the Ultimate Fighter show that was on a Spike
I sure did.
And would you at all consider working for UFC? And what were your thoughts on the show in general?
The show's great. I thought it was, especially the finale, man. That was awesome. Those guys put on a real battle at the end.
The second fight, right?
Yeah, I thought it was real cool. I think it was real cool for Dana to give them both a contract too.
That had to be like the fight of the year. I've never seen 2 guys just really beat the hell of each other consistently for 15 minutes like that. It was something to see, man.
It really was. Yeah, it really was. The guys were slugging it.
I mean, they were just swinging for the fences. Like any kind of technique seemed to just go out the window. It was like, I'm going to hit you, and if you can take it, I'm going to hit you back.
Try sitting there for a minute swinging, much less 15.
Well, and you could tell by the end of that fight, man, they were totally gassed. They had not an ounce of energy left. And I think that's what made it so great, was that they had the time to do that.
That's what you got to do. You got to sit there and sometimes when you fight, you have to leave it all in the ring. You have to walk out there and go. Whether you win or whether you lose, you have to go, I gave it 110%. I left.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and go, I should have been this. I could have done that. Man, screw that, man. I'm in the gym now going, I could have worked hard. No, I'm working out hard now. Okay? I go in that ring, I know I gave it everything I got.
And obviously you mentioned that you watched the show in the finale. What did you think of the Ken Shamrock fight? And do you think it's time for Ken to go ahead and hang it up? I mean, he was taken out relatively quickly.
Yeah. Ken works out here. I'm in the gym right now. It's dojo, and he works out here at this gym.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's a technical genius. And it's just, I don't know. I'm not gonna say. Do I think he should? Yeah, I think it's time to. He can make a lot more money doing some other stuff, training people, you know, doing this, doing that. I mean, to get in there and, the guy's a warrior. You know, he started the whole thing. He paved the road for all of us. I mean, you can't say anything bad about somebody like that. But you know, even though he thinks the same thing. I don't know.
Even though he lost that fight, I mean, there were still instances where you could see his technical genius when, you know, he was down in an armbar and, you know, miraculously ended up having the dude in a variation of an ankle lock within seconds. And that was a sight to behold. And at that point, I thought to myself, this guy can still do it. But then, you know, it's such a hit-or-miss sport that, you know, fortunes change in seconds.
And that's the honest truth. I mean, the wind blows one way one day, one guy wins, it blows another way. You know, you never know. One lucky shot.
Yeah.
This is a sport where it's not like boxing. Boxing, it's like, you know, this is like, I could throw a kick and get hit, you know, and you're out, and the next day, block the same kick. It's crazy cool like that, you know?
Right.
That's what makes it exciting. You're like, wow, you know?
I have a question, and this is just something that comes from me. You said you practice martial arts, and I noticed on your bio it said you practice Muay Thai. As someone who practiced martial arts for a while, I have the utmost respect for anyone who has done that. Is there any other styles you've taken?
Yeah, Muay Thai. I train. You know, hybrid shoot fighting. And my first martial art was Aikido. And then I went to Session Kai Karate, which was like point fighting. And then I studied Hung Gar Kung Fu for several years. And then I picked up Muay Thai.
Wow. Now, in your upcoming match, if you had your druthers, would you have it be more of a stand-up fight, or would you have it more of a ground-and-pound kind of fight?
I'm sorry? If I had my way?
Yeah.
I'd rather it be MMA. But that's, you know, I'll take it how I can get it.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, dude.
All right. Do you mind if we just close out with a couple word associations? You can just give us a one-word answer, but if you have a story, feel free to fire away. We are not on any time restraints. All right. First name on the list. We're going to go through a lot of your natural-born killers, buddies. Perfection, Strong Stasiak. Perfection, Strong. Why can't I say this name? Sean Stasiak. There we go.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who?
Sean Stasiak.
Nutball.
Nutball. Okay. You guys want to take the next ones?
Mark Jindrak.
Crazy cool.
Chuck Palumbo.
Laid back surfer dude.
How about Zach Gowen?
Yeah. Can I get a word?
The Disco Inferno, Glenn Gilberti.
Fun.
How about your former coach in the Natural Born Thrillers, Kevin Nash?
Let me think of a good word for that. Elf. You can give one word association, right?
Oh, you can.
You could say whatever you want. I mean,
Cool like Elvis.
Cool like Elvis.
How about DDP?
Let me see. Judgmental.
Jeff Jarrett.
Great guy.
Would you ever consider going to work for TNA?
Yeah.
Vince Russo.
Don't know him.
And the final one, you probably guess what it is, will be Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Psychopathic genius.
And we have one last question for you, then we let you go. We appreciate all your time. Of course, Night at the Bellagio airs on April 30th. We are a predominantly wrestling show, though we do occasionally talk about mixed martial arts. We talked about The Ultimate Fighter time to time. We are curious, for our listeners who probably will be more wrestling fans, why should wrestling fans tune in and check this out?
Why should wrestling fans tune in and check out Bellagio fight?
Yes.
Because I used to wrestle and they're my fans. That's fine. Because, you know, there's a certain aspect of wrestling is a fight. You're acting like you're fighting.
Right.
So why would you not tune into fighting? If you're tuning into fighting, if you act like fighting, why not tune in to watch real fighting?
Excellent idea. We can't wait to see it. We will be tuning in. And
Storylines suck so bad on TV right now. What's the difference?
Great point. Well, we really appreciate your time, and good luck, brother.
Thank you very much.
Stay tuned for more.
Good one, man.
All right, stay tuned for more from the interactive interview.
Hey, this is Mike Awesome, and you better listen to the interactive interview, or I'll come out of your computer and body slam your ass.
Welcome to the internet edition of the interactive interview. You just heard the entire interview with Sean O'Hare. We have the man who clipped it down to 10 minutes, Chuck D, on the line, as well as Eric Clancy, as always. How you doing, Chuck?
All right, your boy, man. Doing good.
How you doing, Eric?
No, I don't know. That made me laugh. I like that.
You're an idiot. All right. And you're going to probably hear me call Mr. Clancy an idiot quite often in this recap.
It's 1:30 in the morning.
It's 1:30 in the morning, and I just spent a half hour editing a photo for him to make him look like the Undertaker ripped his skull off. So I'm less than enthused with him at this moment.
Fair enough.
Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you'd have a response to that.
Oh no, I'm just looking. I'm doing more Photoshop stuff with my head.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But okay, but seriously, so what are we going to talk about?
Anything anybody wants to talk about. We have Backlash coming up in just a few days, Sunday evening, as a matter of fact. We have K1 with Sean O'Hare, as we mentioned. We have Raw a couple nights ago. We have SmackDown airing tonight. So we have plenty to talk about, but as the internet show tends to go, we'll probably end up talking about old episodes of Happy Days or the Brady Bunch or something, so who knows.
Let's try to keep it on wrestling.
Yeah.
Let's hope now.
I like Happy Days. Hey.
I don't think I've ever seen a full episode, so.
Hey. Take that, 1950 sculpture. All right. That sounds good, man. So, of course, Monday night was Raw. And this is kind of how we kicked off the radio version of the program. So why don't we kick it off with this? Raw, of course, emanated from the UK, was it?
It was England.
Birmingham, yeah.
Yep.
Birmingham, yes.
I like Chuck Evans.
Oh, for fuck's sake, lads.
That sounded more Irish to me.
Yeah, well, you know, whatever.
Yeah, so fog breathers, so whatever you...
I love calling them that.
I don't even know what that means.
Oh, there's a lot of fog over there, so they breathe in fog.
Oh, okay.
So,
how come we call French people frogs, then?
because they eat the frogs?
Is it?
I didn't know we called them that. Since when?
I don't know. We also call them surrender monkeys, so apparently it's... Yes.
Oh, it must be a right-wing thing.
Maybe it is, yes.
Oh, well, see, that's...
Actually, that came from The Simpsons.
Was that the episode in which Homer licked the frog's butt to get high?
that was the one where he's a missionary, and he's like, I don't even like Jeebus. And then when the plane's flying away, he's like, Jeebus, help me.
It was Angus, the what the hell's his name? He was the janitor. Who is that? Angus's
Willie.
name? Willie, the janitor. And he said, "Are you surrender monkeys?" And he was yelling at the French people.
All right, so SmackDown last week. Let's talk about that.
Well, it was another shitty show, if I do say so.
Oh, come on. That's so cliche. SmackDown's gotten a lot better.
Okay, now, let's say you have a show. It sucks. And it gets a lot better from really, like, sucking ass. Which just means it just sucks. It doesn't suck ass anymore. It just sucks.
It's at a point where it's average. Eminem title win was, it was exciting. I mean, you know, obviously if you read the spoilers, you knew it happened, but it was a title live TV. You know, Carlito's always entertaining. They had
Are they still patching through crowd noise?
probably.
As far as I know.
If they are, they should stop that. Because I think it'd be more realistic if we heard nothing than heard the same people talking in the background, and that drives me nuts.
But if they stopped it, then the people that wanted to be faces wouldn't be faces anymore because they're always getting booed.
Like who?
Well, let's say, for example, let's just say, for instance, if Lita were to be on SmackDown, and I know she's not.
Right.
I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I know Carlito gets a lot of cheers.
Right.
And they still put in heel heat for him when he's really not that much of a heel.
That's somewhat true. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they do another cross-branded pay-per-view. Hopefully by SummerSlam they'll actually be using Mr. Carlito as a active member on the roster instead of just an interviewer. And if they do that, they can't patch in crowd noise.
Yeah, he can wrestle. He's capable.
Right. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen him wrestle, I forget how he is in the ring. So.
Well, they had John Cena squash him for whatever reason a few weeks
For 4
ago. That was
months.
the last time. What?
I said that we also had John Cena squash him for 4 months after John Cena was stabbed.
Right.
Well, that was because Carlito was injured. That at least served a purpose, because Carlito wasn't going to be wrestling for a while. But to have him squash him right before WrestleMania, you'd think they pick somebody, you know, I guess, who doesn't have a future to squash, as opposed to a guy that you could probably get some mileage out of.
I don't remember this.
It was the SmackDown before WrestleMania when John Cena pretty much beat the living crap out of Carlito, and Carlito got no offense.
Wow.
It was booked similar to the Christian Batista main event.
Ugh.
With no definitive finish, though.
Ugh. Oh, that's right. There was no definitive finish. Yeah, you're too tough on that. People don't remember it unless there's a finish.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think it's kind of stupid when they actually have matches that don't finish. Like, why can't people get pinned anymore?
Well, because everybody's afraid of looking bad. They're afraid of how they're going to look.
You mean like Hogan?
Well, Hogan puts over plenty of people.
Like who?
Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, Arn Anderson.
When he put over Arn Anderson?
On Nitro 96.
Oh, sorry.
Goldberg.
And then he undermined
Kidman.
Goldberg's reign.
He never undermined Goldberg's reign.
All right, well, let's get back to
Name what? No. Now you brought a matzo ball out of the soup. Tell me exactly what Hogan did to modify.
Did Goldberg ever get that revenge in the NWO?
Was it Hogan's fault?
Well, he was in charge backstage.
According to who? Kevin Nash was booking.
Yeah, well, Kevin Nash and Hogan were in cahoots.
Hey, he's not a member of the clique.
Apparently he was.
I don't think so.
Well, Shawn wasn't booking.
It was Nash's booking, plus Hogan got hurt, plus there really was no NWO because half the NWO was gone at that point. I mean, there was no comeuppance for the NWO, but then again, Goldberg was dead once he lost that belt.
Goldberg was dead once he left the NFL.
Oh, come on. He was good in WCW.
Yeah, he drew no money.
What?
I was just saying that Goldberg is one of the biggest success stories
of WCW, anyway, yeah.
WCW.
He was
I'm not undermining the fact that he can draw money, but nevertheless, I mean, I think a lot of people in the business resent him for what he was able to accomplish, because they could have done that with anybody, I think. It just so happened he was in the right place at the right time.
Well, if it would work with anyone, why don't they try it again right now?
Well, I think they kind of had that going with Brock Lesnar to some extent.
But why not keep trying it if it's a formula that can work with anyone?
You know, I don't know. A lot of things I think Vince McMahon could do differently. And in the Sean O'Hare interview, we touched on this. That, you know, if you push things to people enough and give people enough time, they'll get over.
I think that's true, but the guy has to have talent. You can't just do it to anyone. You can't put Spike Dudley in the Goldberg role and expect it to sell.
No, but you could put Chris Masters in the Goldberg role, and that would sell a lot better.
Nah, I don't think. You have to have a certain charisma. Look, they tried it with the Ultimate Warrior and Goldberg were essentially the same thing, only the fact was Warrior failed.
Well, Warrior failed because he didn't really care about the business, you know what I mean?
Well,
he wanted.
I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but the bottom line is when Warrior beat Hogan for the belt, they were expecting numbers to either stay the same or go up. Numbers went down under Warrior. Numbers went up. Numbers went up under Goldberg improved ratings. Great.
Well, he did improve ratings for the short term. Unfortunately, he was the one thing.
When you're being booked for the short term, that's what happens.
Well, I mean, ultimately, if he would have stayed undefeated, it'd be interesting to see what he would have done for ratings. At the end of '98, he was the only thing keeping WCW afloat.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've often wondered to myself why the WWE doesn't try and have someone put on a similar undefeated streak.
Well,
they have.
How many mid-carders do they have to start you off?
The WWE?
Yeah.
Well, they have a ton.
I mean, name them.
Okay, we could start off with Sylvain Grenier. He's not going anywhere.
Sylvain Grenier, La Resistance, essentially everybody in a tag team. You'll end up with about 11 mid-carders. How many did WCW have when Goldberg was being built? About like 70.
There's more than 11. I mean, we could have him beat cruiserweights. I mean,
let me go to the WWE website and check out. All right.
Does it feel to me like Mr. Clancy's being a bit of a douchebag tonight?
No, I'm providing solid arguments.
Well, I mean, maybe it wouldn't go to the same degree of him beating that many people, but the WWE has enough people in OVW they could bring up for one match.
But they're hardly ever bringing anyone up. And
another problem is
they have the ability to do that. Is the point I'm trying to make?
They do have the ability, but I mean, I don't think they would do something.
And another problem is the internet is so negative towards anything that they try to do that the first week they do it, they say, that sucks, they should never do that again. Never, ever do it again, like Eugene, for example.
Okay, like I'm looking at the Raw roster page right now. We could have him beat
my computer's too slow to get there.
Eugene and Garrison Cade. Kane is a mid-carder. Mark Henry.
I wouldn't say Kane's a mid-carder. I'd say he's upper mid.
Rob Conway, Rosie, Simon Dean, Steven Richards, Grenier, Tajiri the Hurricane, Tomko, Viscera, Val Venus, William Regal.
All right, and that's pretty much the ones that you could have a guy beat. Now look at the ones that Goldberg beat it. Hugh Morris, the Barbarian, Ming, Wrath, Glacier, Steve Mongo McMichael, Alex Wright, Disco Inferno. These are just off the top of my head. Brad Armstrong,
Perry Saturn, Raven,
Steve Armstrong, Perry Saturn, Raven, Reese, Hoovy. I mean, I could go on forever with these.
Well,
I mean,
sure, but I mean, then what I would propose is that they have just jump from brand to brand, just beating everyone. And I mean, we have on SmackDown Akio, Al Snow, Kidman, Bubba Ray Dudley, Carlito, Charlie Haas, Chavo Guerrero, Danny Basham, Doug Basham.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with the fact that if you within the brands, there's enough to do that. Unfortunately, the brands are split. And
wouldn't it be something just to have a guy come out that we don't know about? I'm sure there's some jacked guy. I mean, bring back Waterman, Ron Waterman. You guys remember him?
Yeah.
Who?
I'm not saying he's the greatest wrestler in the world, but hey, I mean, the guy's big. He's built like Goldberg, and he's a legitimate tough guy. Have him just show up, bounce from brand to brand, and call someone out, have him get in a match, and just have him whoop their ass, and do this for 3 months. Don't really tell us anything about the guy. And, then you can have some interaction with Teddy Long and Eric Bischoff. Oh, let's get this guy coming. I want him on my side. No, I want him on my side. It could lead to another cheesy contract signing. We can pair him with a hot chick valet. I mean, there's any number of things that you can do. That this would be something more valuable than, in my opinion, what we're seeing now.
Well, if the rosters were big enough, that could work. But at this point, I don't see it being feasible until the rosters get, until they get much bigger. And obviously, WWE is going in that direction.
Well, let's look at, for example, the Kurt Angle Challenge. He's beating people. We have no idea who he is or who these people are. I mean, they're just
but the idea is they're just from a local area.
Okay, well, why couldn't we bring up the guys from OVW and only for one show?
They'll probably make him a heel.
Have whoever it is, beat him and be like, this just, moving through the ranks. I mean, I think you get a good solid year's worth of programming if they're just beating people. And, people could, throughout the way, like Mark Henry, say, challenge him to a rematch. Put it on a pay-per-view, have him beat him.
We're forgetting the fact that the Internet has a very short attention span, and the Internet, if they saw any similarities to Goldberg, would instantly label him a Goldberg ripoff.
You mean like Brock Lesnar?
Right. I actually called Brock Lesnar Greenberg.
Well,
because he was green
they
and
reacted positively to Brock Lesnar.
Yes, but I hated Brock Lesnar.
I'm just saying, though, but your logic is flawed.
Well, Brock Lesnar didn't come in and beat everybody. It was that there was no undefeated streak signs.
Yeah, there was. There was undefeated streak until Big Show beat him.
When did the Big Show beat him?
Survivor Series.
So how high was his number?
Well, he was in there since March.
Okay.
Yeah, it was an undefeated streak. They didn't push it as the Goldberg undefeated streak.
But there was.
It wasn't like his character that he could beat everyone. But he didn't lose for quite a long time.
Right. I don't know. I thought it was...
Go up with Heyman and just whoop people's ass and leave.
It didn't make any sense why Heyman left him, though. Did anybody get that?
Well, because they thought Brock Lesnar was a good enough talker on his own.
Yeah, that was true.
I want Goldberg?
Yeah, I like how he changed his operatives so that it changed into a question by the end of the interview.
Ron Burgundy will read anything you put on a teleprompter.
I love that movie. All right, so good discussion going. What else?
Where were we now? I mean, what were we even talking about?
SmackDown, somehow.
Yeah, like I said, pretty random.
But, I don't know. SmackDown, we talked to this a little bit on the radio show, the fact that every time the show opens up, it's like a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's happening. JBL comes out, then Kurt Angle comes out, there's a match going on that ends in a no contest, which leads to another match, and then Teddy Long comes out.
Yeah.
And this is all within the first, 5 minutes.
Yep.
Well, I think they're trying to make chaos leading into intrigue. I think that's their thinking behind it.
I mean, if they want chaos, then they need to have chaos. I mean, it seems to me this is another situation where someone without the belt but had the belt is getting the airtime the person who currently has the belt should have. Do you guys follow me there?
Yeah, I think John Cena's getting plenty of airtime.
He is, but why not have him start off the show? You know what I mean? Come out instead of JBL coming out to start every show. And at this point, JBL really is kind of nothing without the belt. I mean, his promos, it's like he's a smaller time version of Triple H. He comes out and says the same line week after week. Oh, and John Cena, you don't deserve to have my belt, blah, blah, blah. You're just a dog.
Well, is that JBL's fault or the writer's fault?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think 99% of the problem is the writer's fault.
Mm.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I mean, I see very few things that the wrestlers do wrong. I mean, they might miss a spot here and there, which is expected. But, I mean, majorly, I don't think the wrestlers themselves are doing anything wrong. It's what they're being told to do that's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to agree with that. I just think that the SmackDown brand at this point, like Eric says, it has improved compared to what it was last year. Unfortunately, it's still not a show that I'm enjoying watching.
I'm enjoying it.
You are?
Yeah.
No, I mean, that's fair, but it's clear to me that the Raw brand is the superior brand.
The funny thing is the ratings don't even reflect that, though.
Well,
in some cases, SmackDown actually beats Raw.
Which is odd.
Yeah.
Does it really?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the ratings might be deceiving because say Raw gets a 3.8, SmackDown gets a 3.7. A 3.7 in network is much higher than a 3.8 in cable.
You know, I do know that. I am a communications major. I should know that.
Well, I'm a communications no. But
well, you're just a douchebag, Eric.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey.
So yeah, it's actually the ratings aren't showing it. Actually, ratings have been fine, really, for SmackDown.
Then why'd they cancel it?
Show.
Why'd they cancel it?
What's going to happen when they have to switch networks? The ratings are going to plummet, don't you think?
What do you mean, for SmackDown?
Well, for both brands, I think, really.
Well,
what happened with the ratings?
I don't think wrestling fans are so stupid that they. I mean, theoretically, since it's on the same time and the same night, you can be the biggest idiot, but if you keep pressing the button, you're going to see the show eventually. Like, I mean, you'd have to be like a...
It's like a monkey. If you keep pulling the lever, eventually you'll get the pellet.
Yeah, just like whatever the hell you said. So, I mean, I think there was a lot of people thought that was going to be a problem with TNN. It wasn't.
Right. I mean, at first it could have been...
The whole network fit Raw's MO in a way.
Wait, what happened?
I said Spike, or TNN turned over to Spike TV and kind of revamped everything to be in the same demographic that Raw was.
Yeah. I mean, that's why the show is like their entire network now. They show old episodes of Law and Order, and whatever the hell that other detective show is, or whatever the hell it is. I don't even care. I mean, they're all
Most Extreme Challenge. I mean, all this stuff is targeted to young to middle-aged men, which is obviously what Raw's geared to. Well, they go over to the USA Network. They're not going to have that same luxury.
Right.
They're not going to have a show in syndication that's as strong as CSI or even Star Trek. You know what I mean? On SmackDown. Those might not be great shows to us, but I mean they have a pretty strong following.
Right.
And they're going to lose that leading into it.
Well, here's the thing. SmackDown is done in September 2006. A lot can change between now and then.
And let's not kid ourselves. Everybody talks about USA and they're going to lose $13 million of ad revenue, but the fact is that the WWE is already beginning their ad campaign for when they go to USA.
Well,
so, I mean, people can say that. People can say that they're going to lose this and they're going to lose that. I don't buy it.
They're not losing anything. They are not getting the ad revenue. They're not losing anything. They're getting a certain amount of money up front. I believe it's $13 million up front, so they're not gambling with the revenue money. USA is also, people say, oh, they're not going to promote it. USA is putting $8 million into the initial promotion campaign, meaning, which is one of the highest amount of cash ever put into a cable switch.
Well, I mean, and the fact is, the internet wrestling crowd is just so negative that the first thing they think of is, well, what can we say to be negative about this?
You're so obsessed with the internet wrestling crowd.
Well, they are negative.
Yeah, but you've talked about nothing but that the entire recap.
Well, it's true. The first thing that they thought,
about it.
the first thing the internet wrestling crowd wanted to do was come on and say, well, they're not going to get any promotion on USA. This is the end of the wrestling business. So even though I spend my entire day thinking about nothing but professional wrestling, I get to wet myself because I get to see it die. That's the same mentality that killed WCW. And it freaking pisses me off.
Let me pose you a question, dude.
That's like when Chuck got bad at Triple H. You got really passionate about that.
Well, I hate Triple H. But point being, don't you think that if the internet is negative, that it's for a reason? I mean, do you really think everyone's just looking for a reason to be negative? I don't think so. I think
because people think being negative makes them sound intelligent. That's what the problem with. That's why the Democrats lost the last election. They thought if we bitch about everything, we'll sound smart.
That is so not true, dude.
Thank you.
Everything is bad in the world. Let's just say it's bad. And I have a plan. And I have a plan. And I'm not telling anybody what it is.
The only reason the Republicans won any kind of election was because of their dirty money. They were getting...
You mean like the 527s that George Soros spent $78 million on? Well, that could be dirty money, too.
What the hell are you talking about?
George Soros spent $78 million into MoveOn.org advertisements.
Because you were talking so fast.
George Soros put $78 million into 527 advertisements. You're not supposed to exceed $15 million.
Oh, well, what about the Swift boat ads? Those were legal.
Well,
you got to think of it this way. How much money did Halliburton put into Bush's campaign?
And there's no documented proof of anything. So.
Oh, yes, but there's documented proof of all...
George Soros, yes.
Oh, dude, there's so
Look at George Soros' bank. Yeah, but I think we're getting off on too much of a tangent.
Because, Chuck, if you tell him that, he'll just deny it because it was covered by CNN, the liberal network.
Well, it's owned by Mr. Conservative Ted Turner. You're so wrong about that. But let's...
The only liberal network is CNN. I mean, CBS.
Do you think any station... Now, let's be realistic. There's not a station out there except for Air America Radio that is putting out anything that can be considered liberal.
I think CBS is the liberal network and Fox News is the conservative network, which is why I don't watch either.
I think everything that's being put out has a slightly conservative slant on it. Even if they're bashing Bush, Like, they'll contradict
See, I don't even
themselves.
see too much Bush bashing.
I do, but
Don't you read the New York Times?
by bringing someone else.
Oh, well, yeah, well, why don't we just talk about the L.A. Times?
They're the same thing.
No, they're not. The L.A. Times is one of the most conservative newspapers on the planet.
Do you read it?
I've read it. I don't know why I use my operatives on it, but yes, I've read it.
You're like Mean Gene Okerlund introducing the Honky Tonk Man.
You know what? Can I just tell you guys a story?
The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, tell us the
My
story,
girlfriend
Chuck.
and I always have this discussion.
By the way, everybody, Chuck's girlfriend is hot.
Oh, shut up.
We always have this conversation. A friend of ours is actually handicapped.
Right.
Okay, he wheels around in his wheelchair. He really has no arms and legs.
Is this the station manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's quadriplegic, and what strikes me as funny is somehow this kid was conned into voting for George Bush, who is against stem cell research. Now, you got to think to yourself.
That's because we got to support babies who aren't alive as opposed to people who already have lives.
Well, no, we got to think to ourselves on some level. This kid has been subconsciously altered his mind by all the crap that people, pro-Bush crap that people fed him through the election, to the point where he didn't even know what was good for himself. Why would you vote for someone?
Because there's no documented proof that stem cell research has worked, but there is documented proof that. But there is documented proof that the studies done with cord blood does work, and with cord
blood.
If you examine the situation as I have,
Yes, I did.
cord blood is the blood.
And you never back up your document.
Cord blood is the blood.
Examples or citations.
Cord blood is the blood found in umbilical cords.
Right.
When you clip the umbilical cords, it's the blood inside there that includes nutrients that for some reason seems to have healing capacities. They're doing examinations on that, and that is what Bush supports examinations on because he feels it is the more moral way to go. And if that doesn't work, then we can re-examine the idea of using stem cells. But using abortions to do it is not the way to go.
That says when there's a man who kills a woman and her unborn child, and he is convicted for the murder of one person, meaning the Bible claims that unborn children are not people until they have been birthed.
Thank you from the atheist.
I'm just saying, though. I mean, I know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to get into an abortion debate. I don't really care one way or the other. I have my opinion. I don't care. I don't want to argue with anybody else's, but I think we should be the wrestling show. As I said, we go off topic, but I don't think we should veer this
You were
far
the one
off
who
topic.
started it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get my little dig in there.
So you're like, well, let me get my shot, but then I didn't want to stay around for the fire.
Thank you for mixing your metaphors.
Well, you're the one who thought Batista said a pun when he called Eric Bischoff the gimp from Pulp Fiction. The definition of a pun is a play on words, which was not what Batista did.
Used car salesman could have gone as one. He did use a pun in that interview.
No, he didn't. You don't know what you're
I
doing.
have the tape. I can prove it.
All right. Well, let's talk about SummerSlam. Where do you think the company is going?
To hell. In a handbasket.
SummerSlam? I got to believe that we're going to see Randy Orton versus John Cena on SmackDown.
Well, what about Christian and Cena?
I think Christian and Cena will be an immediate feud.
Oh.
I think we'll see that come to fruition within the next, I'd say, 2 to 4 months.
Well, what are we going to do about Batista and Orton?
I think Orton's going to be drafted to SmackDown, and it's going to pretend like it never happened.
I think there's a lot of people that do want to see that feud played out because I think
there's a lot of history there with their evolution.
Yeah, with the night after WrestleMania, the promo he cut on Batista talking about how he was supposed to be the superstar and he was supposed to be the top guy and Batista was just a big idiot was interesting stuff. The jealousy
Don't you
angle.
think that too much time has passed at this point in time?
No, I think the more Orton stays off TV, the fresher this feud can get because you don't see him for a while. So when you do, the pop's going to be huge, and you know.
Well,
you can really...
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I necessarily don't want to see that feud. I think at this point it's logical to send Randy Orton to SmackDown. I mean, he's an up-and-coming star. You know, he has a lot of new people. Like his feud with the Undertaker should continue before his feud with Batista, in my opinion.
I'm not sure where they're going to go with either. With
Taker's going to be there.
Taker hasn't been on TV for a while, has he?
You know, I haven't seen him. I don't think he has been.
Does anybody miss him?
No.
Well, he gets the biggest pop of the night of any star in that show.
Yeah.
He might get the biggest pop when he comes out, but I'll tell you what, dude, you can hear a pin drop when he's wrestling.
I still think he can go.
I think he can too. I think.
I thought, and everybody on the planet will disagree with me on this, but I thought Orton and Taker was match of the night at Mania.
I wouldn't say it was match of the night, but I definitely thought they put on a good show.
I thought Angle against Michaels was the best match of the night.
Yeah,
Man,
most people
boy.
do.
You love Kurt Angle, don't you?
I hate. The thing is, I'm one of the most critical people of Kurt Angle, but I thought that was one of the best match of the night.
It's because you met me and you fell in love with him, dude.
No, I still don't. Still am not a big Kurt Angle supporter, but I will say that I thought that was the match of the night. I thought it told a good story. The story was when Michaels tried to mat wrestle with Kurt Angle, he couldn't do it, so he had to kick it up to, as JR put it, a WWE style, and that involved flying through tables. I mean, that's what he had to do to compete.
I love not saying anything after Jane, so he feels like an idiot.
I'm wondering. I feel like on Chuck's commercial. What, are you expecting more?
Yeah, what are you expecting more?
Yo, it's Chuck D with a rap attack. Join me every Friday night where I'm going to lay down the tracks and smack the bitch up. Chuck D, the rap attack. Friday.
Pretty good. That's a good promo right there.
Thank you. Oh, my phone. Hold on. Hello?
You're still there.
Yeah, my phone fell off the thing and I had to catch it.
Well, congratulations.
Good catch.
Oh, thank you. All right.
That's one out.
What was I going to say?
I don't know. You tell me.
So, Backlash, what do you guys think of the card so far?
I think so far is a little bit too much to talk about since we're 2 days away or 3 days away. But unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be that much planned.
You think there's too much to talk about?
They said, what do you think of the card so far? And I don't think we should be talking about so far 3 days away from the card.
All right, what do you think of the card?
Yeah.
Well, as the resident internet negative person, I'm going to say it sucks my ass.
Are you serious when you say that?
To some extent, yes.
I think...
I can tell you I'm not going to buy it.
Well, I'll be buying it.
You already know how bad it is. So
I'm on the fence of buying
it.
What'd you say?
Say what?
You guys talked over each other, so I'm a little bit confused on what I should have heard.
I said I'm on the fence about buying it.
Sitting on the fence?
Well, we look at it, and I'm on the WWE website. There's only 5 matches that have been actually signed. I know there's rumored to be other ones, but I mean...
Well, that's been the WWE's problem for years, and that's why their pay-per-view buy rate numbers are declining.
Well, your WrestleMania dispels that myth.
Well, let's see. WrestleMania, number 1, is always going to get huge numbers, and number 2, there was quite a bit of build-up for Mania. I'm talking about normal pay-per-views, and by the way, Armageddon was one of the lowest-drawing pay-per-views of all time.
Well, that was also a SmackDown pay-per-view, which Vince understands is not going to draw no matter what they do.
I'm talking about pay-per-views, not WrestleMania. I'm talking about normal pay-per-views.
No. Armageddon, Vince knew that a SmackDown pay-per-view will not draw. That's why...
Tuesday did terrible numbers.
Yeah, that's true, but then again, it was on Tuesday night. So,
okay,
it confused people.
Regardless. What else was the one before that? Unforgiven? Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's get back to Backlash here.
Yeah.
The fact that we're going to see Triple H and Batista headline this, and
I wouldn't make them headline, actually. It sounds good. So, oh, by the way, I called, this is like going to make the air, but it probably shouldn't. I called Sony Music today and left a voicemail. That's all I'll say. Okay.
I think you're going to see Angle and Cena eventually, and I think you're going to see Angle and Undertaker eventually.
Yes, you will.
I don't think Angle's going to Raw. I really don't.
This is what I would do. And obviously I'm not a professional booker. But I would send Triple H to SmackDown, believe it or not. I think that could be the kind of shot in the arm that SmackDown needs.
The only thing is that it hurt their heels on that brand, which would pretty much kill JBL's push.
JBL's push is done, dude.
It might be. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to do with him next.
I think...
On paper, it looked like a phenomenal card. Everybody in the matches worked incredibly. But that crowd, and by the way, I'll say this to you, to say this to anyone who's in the crowd, you're a piece of shit, ruined the entire card. I remember feeling like I had wasted money on that card because they were cheering for Triple H, or they cheered for a guy who smashed a person who is mentally disabled with there are boos for Cena. Why do they cheer him? I don't know. There are people that do get a lot of cheers and will not get booed. Hogan these days is one of them. Cena is one of them. Heck, Angle will get cheered in most of the matches, even though he's supposed to be a despicable heel. The funny thing is, when you look online, when a face gets booed, they'll say, oh, they don't like the face. But when a heel gets cheered, they won't say, oh, this isn't a heel that's doing his job badly. They just like him. I really don't like that reverse.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Double standard that we have.
I think another one's Chris Benoit. He gets pretty consistently cheered.
Yeah.
He does, yeah, I would agree with that. But that's because, I mean, how do you boo Chris Benoit?
Yeah, I don't think he can.
You have to be really arrogant to want to boo Chris Benoit.
But I mean, I'm sure people will find a way to do it. But you know, it's tough in this day and age, and I think that's going to lead to, in some way, some sort of revolution in the sport, because it's really tough to keep a lot of these fans happy. It's tough to have angles and to keep anything in a coherent order when you've got fans that are just, I mean, they remind me of me when I was in like 8th grade, because everybody liked wrestling. I was like, okay, I'm just going to not like what everybody else likes just to make myself seem like I'm more elite than I actually am. I mean, it's pretty pathetic when you think about it. I mean, that whole SummerSlam crowd was downright pathetic.
Well, that's Toronto.
Oh, yeah, Canada is pretty pathetic.
Well, why don't we switch gears? Why don't we talk about something I don't think we've discussed before?
What's that?
At least not that I'm privy to. What do you think about this women's division?
Sucks. No, let me be serious.
Trish is the only woman that will really make me watch her matches.
Let me be serious here. Victoria's out there. She's a decent female performer. Keep her.
She's great.
And she's all right. Lita's a danger to everybody.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. She'll screw you.
Oh yeah. Hey.
All right. Where were we now? Molly's gone. Christy can't work. I mean, she's trying. God bless her heart. She's trying, but she's not at that level yet. You got Trish, who's the women's champion, and pretty much nobody to work with. So what do? You have to either bring up women to work with her. You have to bring Dawn Marie over, because I think she's actually decent in the ring, and she could probably pull something out.
I personally, unless there's more workers out there like Trish, have no desire to see a women's division. Much like I have no desire to see a WWE promoted cruiserweight division.
What about the hardcore division returning?
No, because it wasn't even friggin' hardcore. It was just a joke division.
Yeah, it was retarded, dude.
I'm kidding.
People thought that was like, oh, we need a little comic relief. I was like, I don't find it funny.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't find it funny either, and I actually hated the hardcore division, but that was pretty much just taking the ECW fans and pulling them into the show. I mean, that's
no, they didn't even want it like that. I mean, it wasn't hardcore. It was heard in a while. What were you saying?
We should have a freestyle rap-off here between you two, because
you should have a freestyle rap-off.
Just because I think you two would be entertaining as hell.
Dude, I'm your boy Chuck D. There's no way you can phase me. Oh, that was just a little taste, okay? Just a taste.
Is it my shot now?
No, there wasn't a chance. That was just something to like.
You do listen to that.
Old school rap.
We should start a book club.
From today is that it's ridiculous.
You know what I'm talking about?
What'd you say?
You should listen.
I listen to joke rap though.
We should start a book club.
Yeah, there's a improv group. Check them out if anybody likes crazy weird stuff, called thelonelyisland.com, and they got this fake rap where it's essentially talking about these kids in suburbia, and they're just like he's like we should start a book club. Yo, I hear you talking. How about Sunday afternoon right after speed walking? That's a date, but I know that ain't the reason for your calling. Yo, son, you're so observant. Must have noticed I was stalling. And they go on from there.
Wow.
And at the end, he's like, "Sup, Dunny? This red wine's got me feeling fucked up. Watch out, son. You just knocked some right out of my cup. Oh shit, you're getting naked." And it goes on from there. But anyway, that's enough of Eric Clancy attempting to show his mad skills.
Don't ever say mad skills again.
Remember on Futurama when Professor says, "And will said skills pay the bills"?
Yes.
Apparently, for those of you interested, Randy Orton will be on Bite This, and so will Eric Bischoff whenever Bite This is on.
I think the lead is going to be on Bite This as well.
Oh, man. They better not take calls.
Suck this.
I remember I used to call Bite This Bites.
I called in, like, must have been, like, October.
When called upon.
When called upon.
Was it?
Called upon. No, I didn't get on the air. I said to him, because, you know, they drift in and out of kayfabe. So I'm like, well, oh, man, Melina's so hot. So they drift in and out of kayfabe, so I don't know what to ask. So Coach was on, and I said, okay. And they said, okay, so what are you going to ask? I was just going to wonder why Coach doesn't marry. I was looking at Christy. Why Coach doesn't manage Garrison Cade anymore. And then he's like, yeah, we're not going to go down that route. Then he hangs up on me like a 13-year-old girl breaking up with her boyfriend.
Oh, man, they're so protective.
Yeah, I was really annoyed after that.
Well, I mean...
I'll give you guys a little backstage into the interactive interview. When we went and interviewed Candace Michelle, we were actually told no the first few times because she was afraid to be put into a room with two guys. Now, I'm about 5'7", maybe 5'8", about, I don't know, 120 pounds.
He's not 3 feet. The rap was inaccurate.
Anyway, let's just go back and just discuss this. I don't want to burn any bridges right here and there. So all I want to say is Chuck and I not very big guys. So
I'm not burning any bridges at all.
I
have a reason to be protective of their talent.
Yes, but what we're trying to say here is that neither one of us are that big, but the situation was, and to be honest with you, and this is the truth, I think she was scared to death about me asking one question that was actually written down on the sheet of paper, which is, you did a porn film. And that's not a question, that's actually a statement. But she seemed scared to death that I would say that, and if I said that to her, she might have screamed and ran off the bus.
You are so short, James.
That's not nice. Anyway, let's go back to the discussion. Anyway, she was afraid of that. We didn't ask the question. We had to pretty much guarantee that we wouldn't ask a question like that. And as such, the interview was all right. I mean, it was all right for radio, but for the kind of interviews that we tend to do over the phone, it was short. So, but it was fun. It was fun to actually be on the bus again. The wheels on the bus go round and round. That's my rap right there. Round and round, round and round. All through the town. Yeah.
I don't know why I found that so funny.
Because you're a kiss ass.
How much time we got left, guys?
There's no time limit on this thing.
This has been one of the most structured recaps we've done in a while.
And that's saying something.
Yeah, we've...
Sarah, friend.
Yeah.
Running in the blood of the glory with a virgin.
Okay.
Sarah, friend from?
What?
What movie did we decide that line was from?
Friend.
Sarah, friend.
Oh, yeah, Labyrinth.